Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us in this session of Spokane Public Schools Keep Learning series for literacy. Today's lesson is for all our fourth graders out there, and any child who's interested is welcome to join us. My name is Sarah, and I'm an instructional coach at Cooper Elementary in Spokane Schools, and I will be a teacher for this lesson. I'm so glad you are participating with me today. Today, we will be learning about volcanoes and how they are both harmful and helpful to living things. For today's lesson, you will need a piece of paper and something to write with. I'll give you a moment while you gather your supplies. Let's begin. As we read, let's think about main ideas in the text. So remember, the main idea is what the text is mostly about, or what a section of the text is mostly about. When we think about main ideas of a text, we use details from the text to support our thinking. Details can also include information from a graphic, such as a diagram, photograph, a chart, or a map. If someone is with you, please feel free to share your thinking with them today. I know I love having somebody to share my thinking with. Before we begin to read, take a moment to think about what you already know about volcanoes. Now, I want you to also think about some wonderings you may have about volcanoes. Here are some of my wonderings. What even is a volcano? How are volcanoes formed? How do we know when a volcano is about to erupt? Were you wondering any of these same things that I was wondering? They're all great questions, and maybe we'll find out some answers in our reading today. Volcanoes can definitely be harmful to living things, but did you know that they can also be helpful to living things? Before we begin our reading, we are going to go over a couple of vocabulary words that will help us understand volcanoes and understand the text better. Our first word is the word gushes. So gushes, that's when something flows out suddenly or forcibly, like when lava gushes out of the top of the volcano down the mountainside. The next couple words are active and dormant. So these two words are actually antonyms or opposites. They are both two words that describe a volcano. But an active volcano describes a volcano that is erupting or that is about to erupt. A dormant volcano describes a volcano that is not erupting. Harmful and helpful are our last two words, and these are both antonyms as well. So harmful is when something is causing harm or hurting something or someone. And helpful is when something is helping somebody or having a positive impact on something or someone else. So listen to this reading passage today to find out how volcanoes are both harmful and helpful to living things. This text is Volcano by Mark Lyon. It begins when invisible gases escape from an opening at the mountain's top. Then a huge explosion fills the air. A cloud of steam, ash, and burning rock bursts out of the crater created by the blast. The sky becomes dark. Dust and ash block the sun. Hot, melted rock gushes over the sides of the crater and travels down the mountain. A volcano has erupted. Take a look at the diagram. The title of the diagram is The Inside of a Volcano. So if you look at the bottom of the diagram, the label says magma under pressure. So it's showing the magma that's under pressure within the Earth's plate, and all that pressure is building up, and that magma is going up, and it bursts out of the top, which creates the crater, and lava comes out. The gases and ashes and steam fill the air from that lava. A volcano is born. Active volcanoes, like the one described here, are often large mountains. When a volcano is born, however, it starts out as a crack in the surface of the earth. Hot, melted rock from deep inside Earth rises and pushes through this crack. This melted rock, called magma, forces its way out. The magma is now called lava. The lava cools and becomes hard. Over many years, the dried lava builds up into layers. After a while, these layers form a tall mountain. These volcanic mountains can form on dry land or under the sea on the ocean floor. Volcanic mountains born under the ocean can become islands. People think the island of Hawaii was formed this way. Most volcanoes form along the largest cracks in Earth's surface. Earth's outermost layer, the crust, is made up of sections called plates. Plates float slowly on the liquid magma. The world's continents are on these plates. As the plates move, melted rock can push its way through the places where they meet. A string of volcanoes has formed along the edges of a large plate. This area is known as the Ring of Fire. California and Alaska are located along the Ring of Fire. New land is formed. Dried lava can add new land around a volcano. This can happen suddenly or over many years. Volcanoes can erupt violently, covering the surrounding area with rock and ash. Other volcanoes are gentle, letting lava trickle down slowly out of the opening and down the mountainside. Kilauea and Mauna Loa, two volcanoes on the island of Hawaii, usually give plenty of warning before they spew hot lava. Their lava sometimes adds new land to the island. Detecting volcanoes. Long ago, people had no warning that a volcano was about to erupt. Because of this, many people died. Much has changed thanks to scientists who study volcanoes. Today, scientists almost always know when a volcano may erupt. They use instruments that measure escaping gas and earthquake-like tremors in the earth. So tremors is shaking. It's like when there's an earthquake, the earth shakes. Those are tremors. Scientists use computers to check for bulges in the sides or near the top of a volcano. Scientists around the world are always at work predicting when the next volcano might erupt. Harmful or helpful? Volcanoes can be harmful. Hot gases and lava hurt living things. They can destroy crops and wipe out homes and towns. Temperatures can drop when clouds of ash block out the sun for days at a time. Daytime can seem like night. When this happens, more crops die. Sometimes people have to leave their homes because of the ash in the air. This ash makes it hard for people and animals to breathe. Volcanoes can also be helpful. Farmers use soil that comes from volcanoes. Dried lava holds useful minerals that help plants grow. Lava is also used to make soap. Volcanic rocks are used as building materials since they are easy to find and easy to work with. Gold, silver, and diamonds have also been found in and around old volcanoes. Hot water and steam from volcanoes can be used to make electricity and to grow food in greenhouses. Many people will visit an area to watch a volcano spill lava or let out steam. A volcano can be a beautiful sight when seen from a distance. Active volcanoes allow steam, gas, and lava to escape, but dormant volcanoes do not show these signs of erupting. Around these volcanoes, new plants have sprouted and animals once again roam the hillside among the ash and dried lava. Life has returned. Wow. So that's how a volcano is formed or born. That is so interesting how it starts out as a crack in Earth's surface, and then magma comes out and turns into lava, then hardens. Layer after layer builds up to create a mountain, which is actually a volcano. Let's think back to the section titled New Land is Formed. What do you think the main idea of this section is? We know the title of the section, New Land is Formed, and we just read in that section that lava sometimes adds new land to the island. I also know that this text is telling us how volcanoes are both harmful and helpful to living things. So I'm thinking that the main idea of this section is that lava sometimes adds new land to the island, and this seems like something that is helpful. The lava from a volcano is creating land. Wow. The last section that you see here on the screen, harmful or helpful, talks about different ways volcanoes are harmful or helpful to living things. The first sentence in this paragraph says, volcanoes can be harmful. Then the author goes on to list examples of how volcanoes are harmful. And some examples were that the temperature drops and more crops die. The crops and homes are destroyed and wiped out. The ash makes it hard for people and animals to breathe. In the second paragraph of this section, it starts out talking about how volcanoes can also be helpful, and then the author lists examples of how volcanoes are helpful to living things. And some examples were that lava has minerals that help plants grow. It is also used to make soap. Have you ever thought of using lava to clean yourself with? What? Volcanic rock is used as building material, and steam helps create electricity and grow food in greenhouses. Wow. So I always thought that volcanoes were just harmful to living things, but now I know that they can also be helpful to the environment. That is amazing. Now that you know some of the main ideas of the text and how volcanoes can be both harmful and helpful to living things, think back to the section titled Detecting Volcanoes. What do you think the main idea of this section is? Think about that title of the section and the information that was presented in the section. Now don't worry, if you can't remember, that's okay. I'm going to pull it up right now for you. So there's the paragraph in that section, Detecting Volcanoes. What we're going to do today is, this is when you're going to need your paper and your writing tool. We're going to write down the question first, and then we're going to answer it together. So get your paper and your writing tool, and let's write down the question. What is the author's main idea in the section? Use details from this section to support your answer. Go ahead and do that now. I will do that with you. What is the author's main idea in this section? Use details from this section to support your answer. All right. All right, so we have our question written down. Now, when I respond to a reading passage or something that I've read, when I respond to it in writing, I like to use the strategy called the RACE strategy. The RACE strategy helps me organize my thinking and helps me make sure that I'm answering all parts of this question and that I'm really understanding the text and the question better. So R stands for restate the prompt. So when we restate the prompt, we're basically rewriting that question to be able to answer it in a sentence, in a complete sentence. So it says, what is the author's main idea in this section? So I want you to think about how you can restate that question so that you can answer it in a complete sentence. Give you a minute, then we're gonna go to the next page and I'll show you what I wrote. Okay, so if you said something like, the author's main idea in this section is, that would be an example of restating the prompt. Notice how I don't have a period yet because I still have to answer the question in that same sentence. I was just restating the prompt so that we can make sure that it's a complete sentence. So what is the main idea in this section? We just read it again. The title of I'm going to go back in that section again and look for two details that support what I think the main idea is. So if I look back in the section, right here, so let's see, much has changed thanks to scientists who study volcanoes. Today, scientists almost always know when a volcano may erupt. They use instruments that measure escaping gas and earthquake-like tremors on the earth. Scientists use computers to check for bulges in the sides or near the top. Scientists around the world are always at work predicting when the next volcano might erupt. All right. So I wrote, I'm citing my work. So I'm telling you where I found the information, and I'm using quotation marks because I'm taking this information right out of the text. And we want to make sure we give credit to the author and we're not just saying that this is what we made up. So my two details that I took out of the text, I wrote in the paragraph, the author tells us that today scientists almost always know when a volcano may erupt. The author also tells us that they use instruments that measure escaping gas and earthquake-like tremors in the earth. So do those two details help me does that help support my answer, what I said the main idea was? That scientists have new equipment that helps them determine when a volcano may erupt? Yeah, it does. Because it's talking about how they know when a volcano might erupt, and it's talking about the instruments. Now, there's one more thing I need to do to tie up my response here, and that's just to add my thinking, the E. So let's go back a little bit. The C in race is cite text evidence. So that's what we did when we wrote our two details from the text. We cited the text evidence. We wrote two details. I referred that it was in the paragraph that we read, and we have quotation marks right because it's right out of the text. So now the E in race is to explain your thinking. So you can end your paragraph with an explanation of how this supports the answer, or the main idea. So what I'm thinking is that this information helps me understand that long ago, scientists were not able to detect volcanoes. But with new technology, they are now able to determine when a volcano might occur so they can warn people. So just thinking about the main idea of this paragraph and this important information that the author gives us that tells us all these things that we may not have known before, and how all of this new technology, it helps scientists warn people so that they don't have to, they can get away from harm. Thank you for working with me on this response today. I feel like we really understand the main idea in this section of the text, and we did talk about the main idea of other sections in the text. Next time, we will reread the text for close reading and to analyze the structure of the text and how it adds to the purpose. I have enjoyed doing some literacy learning with you today. Thank you so much for joining me as you keep learning from home. I look forward to seeing you again here for the next lesson on KSPS. Bye.